Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the previous class, we were discussing about internal control over cash receipts. Today, we will discuss about system that is adopted to control cash payments. What will be our system for the payment of cash? So the first thing that is important, that whenever a payment is made, that payment should be through check. The use of check, we will use check for payments. Checks should be used for all the payments except petty cash, because for petty cash, small expenses, we are not keeping check payment, because if there is $1 payment, or you can say 10 Afghanis or 20 Afghanis payment, so there is no need of check for that. So for that, we are keeping a petty cash account. It is the first measure for the internal control in case of payment. The first measure of internal control for payments is payments through checks. You must make payment through check. Use of cross check. The second measure for adopted to control the cash payments is the use of cross check. Before dispatching the checks, these should be crossed, so any other person may not draw the amount. I told you in the previous class that if there are two lines drawn on one side of the check, this check will be a cross check, and here the name of the party to whom you are making payment, it will be mentioned. So nobody else can withdraw the cash from the account. So the payment will be what? The payment will be safe. The third thing is safety of checkbooks. There will be one person who will be responsible for the checkbooks, and he will keep these checkbooks safely. Blank checkbooks should be under safe custody of the responsible official, so that these may not be misused for payment by any fraud. So nobody else can misuse these checkbooks. Entry in cash book. Payment should be recorded in the cash book as payment is made. When payment is made, so it is important that on time you will record the entry in the cash book. One is cash receipt and one is cash payment book. So this will be in cash payment book, you will record this entry. Authorized signature. Those persons should sign on the checks who are authorized to sign. There will be a responsible official, so without his signature, payments cannot be made. So there must be an authorized person, and that authorized person, he will sign on the check before making the payment. Verification before signature. Before signing, one should verify the documentary evidence. The person who is responsible for signing the checkbook, first he will verify the documentary evidence for the payment, like voucher. He will check the voucher or invoice or bill. After that, he will sign that checkbook. Special nature payment. If there is a special nature payment, some payments are regular payments. Like from suppliers, we are regularly purchasing goods. So that is a regular nature payment. But some payments are special nature, like you are purchasing a land, or you are purchasing a building or machinery. So these are special nature purchases. So in that, when payment is made, directors of the company may sanction the payment of special nature. So there will be a sanction from the board of directors, from the top management. So first it will be checked that there is a sanction from the board of directors, and after that you will make that payment. Reconciliation. Reconciliation. A responsible officer should reconcile the cash book with the bank statement time to time. Monthly we are making a bank reconciliation statement. So there must be an official, and that official, from time to time, he will reconcile the cash book with the bank statement. Means for reconciliation, bank reconciliation, there will be an official. Then the next is voucher importance may not be ignored. Whenever you are making payments, so voucher is the evidence. So its importance should not be ignored. For every payment, voucher should be obtained. Voucher is evidence. So whenever you are making payment, so you should obtain the voucher for that. Vouchers should be numbered and filed. You will give a proper number to voucher and you will file it. There will be proper filing system. Their numbers should be noted in the cash book against the payment entry. And in the cash book, when you will make payment, so you will note that voucher number in that cash book. Wedges sheet preparation. While preparing the wedges sheet, internal control system should be applied to prevent fraud. Whenever you are making the wedges sheet, so there should be some internal check for that preparation of wedges. So you should apply that properly, so the chance of fraud, it will be less. Then internal control over purchases. So these were the internal control over cash payments, that you will use check, and when you are using check, so try to use cross check. Safety of checkbook, there will be an official, so he will keep these checkbooks, blank checkbooks, carefully. Entry in cash book, there should be proper entry in the cash book whenever you are making payment. So at that time, record that thing in the cash book. Authorized signature, there must be an authorized signature. Verification before signature, there should be one person, he will verify it, and after verification, he will sign the checkbook. Special nature payment, if there is some special nature payment, like purchase of land, not ordinary payment. Ordinary payment, so it is fine. The authorized person, he can sign that thing. He can give permission. But if there is special nature payment, so first we will check the director's sanction, and then after that we will make that payment. Reconciliation, there should be proper reconciliation of cash book and bank statement. Voucher importance, there should be for every payments, voucher is important, so you should check the vouchers and enter the numbers serially. Wedges sheet preparation, whenever wedges sheet is prepared, so keep in mind that you will keep the internal control system, you will apply it, so the chance of errors and frauds, it will be less. Next topic, it is internal check over purchases. When you will purchase things, so what will be the internal check system in that case? So when you will purchase something, so the first thing is supply or requisition. Whenever goods are needed in any department of the company, the head of the department should send the purchase requisition to purchase department. There are lots of departments in a company, so each department, when they need something, they will send a requisition to purchase department. They will send a request to purchase department. he should mention the quality, what will be the quality, what will be the quantity of the item, and the time by which the goods must be supplied, and for up to which time you need those goods, you will send that request to the purchase department. So in case of purchases, the first thing is purchase requisition by department to purchase department, by any department to the purchase department. Then purchase order. It should be given in writing. It should be given on a printed and numbered forms. It should be recorded in the purchase book. Now the purchase department, they will send a purchase order. This purchase order will be in written form. It will be printed and numbered forms. It should be recorded in the purchase book, and you will record it in the purchase book. This purchase order. Copies of purchase order. There should be 3 copies of each purchase order. 1 copy should be sent. So there should be 3 copies of each purchase order. 1 copy should be sent to the suppliers, 1 copy to the store clerk, and 1 should remain with the purchase department. So for each and every purchase order, there should be 3 copies. 1 copy, it should be sent to the suppliers. We will send 1 copy to the supplier. 1 copy to the store clerk. 1 copy will be given to the store clerk of the purchase department. And 1 should remain with the purchase department. 1 will remain. 1 will be sent to the purchase clerk, the store clerk, because when goods are purchased, it will be gone to the store. So 1 copy will be sent to the store clerk and 1 will remain with the purchase department. The 4th thing, it is writing note. When goods are received, the store department will make an actual inspection. Now they will make an actual inspection, the store department. After counting or weighting, the receiving person will write the particulars on the goods receiver note. Keep in mind, when goods are received, we will check, we will make an actual inspection whether the goods are received or not. What is their weight? What is their quality? We will check the quality, we will check the quantity. And then the receiving person will write the particular on the goods receiver note. When there is a good receiver note, he will write the particulars of each and every item on the goods received note. Comparisons. Comparison mean 1 copy of the goods received note will be sent to the purchase department. Purchase department will compare the quality and quantity with the invoice. Then the purchase department, they will compare the quality and quantity with the invoice, whether they received the exact amount, the exact quality goods or not. And they compare this thing with the invoice. Invoice checking. Each invoice on the receipt should be checked by responsible officer with the purchase order that price and quality is correct. Then there should be a responsible officer. Each invoice or receipt should be checked by that responsible officer with the purchase order. The purchase order will be matched with the invoice, the price and quantity, it is correct or not, we will check. Keep in mind, this is purchase order. We send this purchase order to the supplier. Supplier will send invoice that we send these goods to you. Now we will check this invoice with the purchase order. Whether the quality, the quantity, the prices that we sent the purchase order, it is matching with the invoice or not. Inspection. Before storing the goods, these should be inspected and quality should be tested. We will inspect it whether it is in working order or not. We will check the quality, whether the quality is good or not. So inspection is also must. Purchase return. If some goods are defective, so what will we do? We will return these goods. In case of any defect, it should be immediately reported to purchase department. If the goods are defective, we will inform the purchase department that these goods are defective. Purchase department may take up the case. They will take the case. All returns outwards should be accordingly authenticated and correct. Now, the purchase department, he will return these goods to the supplier. So, all the purchase returns, for purchase returns, the goods which are defective, so we will inform the purchase department and purchase department will then take action. Invoice recording. Each invoice should be consecutively, serially numbered and properly filed. All the invoices, you will give it a number and you will properly file these invoices. Payments. A responsible officer should pass on the payment of invoices. Before signing the check, he should assure himself about the correctness of the amount. Then there will be one responsible officer. He will check the invoices and then he will make payments accordingly. So these are the internal checks for purchases. Supply requisition, purchase order, copies of the purchase order, then writing note, then comparisons of what the goods received. We will check the quality, the quantity, then invoice checking. We will check the invoice, we will compare the invoice with the purchase order. Then we will inspect the goods, whether goods are if there is some defective goods, so we will separate these goods. When the goods are defective, so we will inform the purchase department. Then purchase department will take necessary action. Then invoice recording. Invoices will be serial, proper number, and there will be proper filing of the invoices. And then payments will be made by the concerned party, concerned officer. Internal check over sales system. When the company will sell goods, so what will be the internal check for selling these goods? Receipt of purchase order. When you will make a sale, when you will sell some goods, so first you will receive a purchase order from the purchaser. Purchaser will send a purchase order. All the orders from the customers should be received in written form. Keep in mind, it will be in written form. All the particulars about the goods, like name of the good, date, and mode of transport should be written in the order received book. There will be a separate book called as order received book. In that book, there will be name of the item, there will be date, and how these will be transported, it will be written. One copy of the order should be sent to the dispatch department. Dispatch department means that department which is sending goods to the purchaser. So one copy of the purchase order, it will be sent to the dispatch department. Checking of order. Before the dispatch of goods, each order should be checked with its correspondence. Keep in mind, when you will sell the goods, so who will send these goods? The dispatch department. So before the dispatch of goods, before sending the goods to the purchaser, each order should be checked with its correspondence. We will check each order properly and then we will dispatch it. Sale invoices preparation. When you will send the goods to the purchaser, so you will prepare a sale invoice. Keep in mind. One thing is cash memo. When you are purchasing goods, and the seller gives you, when you will make payment and you are making cash payment, and the seller is giving you a slip, a receipt, that receipt is called cash memo. Cash memo is for cash purchases. One is invoice. Invoice is also a receipt. But this invoice, it is for credit sales. Suppose there are two parties, A and B. A is selling goods to B on credit. So when he will sell the goods on credit, when he dispatch the goods, so with these goods he will make an invoice. This invoice, he will send this invoice. Quantity will be mentioned, quality will be mentioned, price will be mentioned, total will be mentioned. So when goods are sold on credit, an invoice will be attached with the dispatched goods. The goods which are sent to B, with these goods an invoice will be sent. So here we are selling goods on credit. So when we sold goods on credit, we will prepare an invoice. Sale invoices should be prepared in triplicate. There will be 3 copies of that sale invoice when the order is executed. Now, why 3 copies? Next it is coming, so then we will talk about this. Why 3 copies? Invoices checking. A responsible officer should check the calculations and price charged, will also initial that he has checked that work. Price charged with initials mean there will be a responsible officer. He should check the calculations and prices charged, whatever the calculations are correct or not, and the price is charged, it is correct or not, with initials. Initials means his sign, that he has checked that work. Why he is signing it? That he has checked that thing properly. So there will be invoices checking by a responsible officer, and he will sign these invoices that he properly checked these and send it to the customer. Copies of invoices. Just like I told you, there will be 3 copies of invoices. 1 copy of invoices will be sent to the buyer. It will be sent to the buyer. Second copy to the invoice clerk. Second copy, it will remain with the invoice clerk to debit the account of the customer, because he will make a ledger on the base of this invoice. Third copy is sent to the gatekeeper. The gatekeeper, he will receive the third copy. because when goods will be dispatched, he will check, he will compare this with the goods. He will check the goods in the truck and he will compare it with the invoice, whether they are taking exact amount of goods to the buyer or not. Properly numbered. Consecutively, each invoice should be numbered, and before dispatch, responsible officer should sign on it. The invoices, it should be properly numbered and it should be properly signed by the responsible person. Dispatching of goods. An official should check the goods before packing and compare them with the order. There will be one person when he is dispatching the goods, when the goods are dispatched, so he will check. Before dispatching goods, he will check and he will compare them with the order. He will compare the invoice with the order. Entries in the book. At the gate, all the packages should be entered in the good outwards book. The gatekeeper, when goods are sent, he will enter these goods in the goods outward books by the gatekeeper. Against each entry, the number of sale invoice must be shown in goods outward book. And in the goods outward book, one copy of the invoice, just like I told you, gatekeeper will keep one copy of the invoices. So he will match the goods outward book with the invoice. Entry of return goods. Some goods which are returned, sometimes goods are being returned by the customer due to any reason. Gatekeeper must enter such return in the goods inward book. One is goods outward book. That book, those goods which are sent outside, so it will be entered in goods outward book. And those goods which are returned by the customer, defective goods, it will be entered in goods inward book. Such a record must be checked with the debit notes sent by the customer. And then when goods are returned by the customer, they will also send goods debit notes. They will also send debit notes by the customer. In this way, proper control should be maintained. And why we are keeping this, why we are doing all this process? Because we want to control each and every item. Entries from the credit notes. From the credit notes, entries must be made in the returned inward books, from which the customer's account concerned will be credited. Keep in mind, the person who is returning goods, the customer who is returning goods, he will send a debit note. Return inward book. Debit note. Those goods which are returned by the customers. And one is credit note. When goods are returned, so the company will make a credit note. Customer will send credit note. Simply buyer and this is seller. Buyer will make a debit note and seller will make a credit note. Simple as that. So we'll make a credit note. Entries will be made from the credit notes. Entries must be made in the return inwards books, from which the customer accounts concerned will be credited. Keep in mind, when we are selling goods on credit, what is the entry? Account receivable to sales. Now, When goods are returned, so we will credit the account of this customer. So what will be the entry? Sales will be debited, sales return will be debited, and account receivable will be credited. That's why we call it credit note, because the account of customer, it will be credited. Previously, when we sold goods, we debit the account of customer. Account receivable, suppose it is A account receivable. Now what will we do? We will credit his account because he returned the goods. A account receivable, it will be credited. Here it is debit and this will be credited. So here he is talking about this thing. Collection of receipt. In this regard, there should be strict control on the collections of customers' account. When customers are sending money, so there should be a strict control on that. Customers should be immediately informed about the difference, the balance found at any time. And if suppose his balance was 1000 and he sent 950, so we will inform him about the difference, that the total amount was 1000, you sent only 950, so inform him about the balance, that this much money is left. Proper record. In the process of sale, all the officer and officials initials must be recorded. There should be proper record in the case of sale. Whoever is responsible, the officer or officials, his initials, his signatures, it must be properly, you will properly keep the record of his initials. Without initials, no entry will be made. So this is all about the internal check over sales system. Today it is enough. This is the end of this chapter. If you got some problems, so you can ask in the WhatsApp group. Assalamu alaikum.